Hello, my name is Greg Harradine, I'm a composer, and welcome to episode 35 of my series Good Art, Bad Art, where I discuss various songs, albums, compositions, and try to figure out are they good art or bad art. And this episode will be featuring the song Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin from their 1969 debut self-titled album, the first track on this album. Yes, this track title, Good Times, Bad Times, sort of gave me the title of this series, Good Art, Bad Art. Isn't it an amazing track? I mean, the first track from their debut album, these are a bunch of guys in their very early 20s, Jimmy Page is slightly older, mid-20s, and here they are, reinventing rock, not reinventing, but sort of building upon the legacy of bands like Cream, people like Jimi Hendrix, Jeff Beck, and just taking things to their own place. Yeah. And Good Times, Bad Times starts simply enough. A couple of chords. Right? That's it. And what's happening in between? John Bonham. Right? Again, just starting off, just hi-hat. And then doubles up, and then we get... if you know the song, you know those rhythms. One of the most, outstanding parts of this song, of any Led Zeppelin song, is the drumming. I mean, John Bonham, for my money, was one of the best drummers around, just because of his feel for the kit. His touch. Everything about his playing. It's like he was born to play the drums. He just can do everything so it sounds effortless and it sounds so convincing and so natural. And the drums on this song, outstanding. Famously, he does these fast triplets on the bass drum, which, as any drummer can tell you, is very, very hard to do. Yes, it's all right doing 2 fast notes on the bass drum with the pedal, but to do 3 in quick succession without a double pedal, right, just with a single pedal, that's very hard to do. But actually, this song highlights all the musicians. Jimmy Page's incredible guitar work. I mean, the solos, just amazing. He fed his guitar through a Leslie cabinet to create that sound, the sound of the solo. And the guitar just sounds so powerful, doesn't it? It sounds like it's screaming, right? It sounds like it's almost a human voice. And that's what the best solos do. The guitar is one of the best instruments, I think, for conveying a kind of human sense of emotion and a human sense of expression, because you can bend the notes, right? You can bend the notes, you can slide, you can articulate the notes in very different ways. On piano, you can't bend a note like the human voice can bend. So, and actually, John Paul Jones, bassist, he wrote the main riff of this song, but he wrote it not on the bass, but on the Hammond organ originally. And then he put it onto the bass, and he said it's one of the hardest bass lines to play. It's easier on guitar, because guitar, the neck is a bit smaller. But I assume he's referring to that when he talks about the main riff. What a great riff that is. Very, just a lovely riff. Just E power chord, then we outline D power chord, and then D major triad, and then chromatically return to E from C sharp. And C sharp, of course, is the third of an A chord. So it's kind of feeling like it's E to D to A. Common progression. Indeed, one we get in the song later on. Excuse my emails coming in there. You see, these videos are one take. I don't redo them. And who knows what I'm going to say? Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe the postman will come and knock on the door next. We'll see. But yes, and Robert Plant. What great vocals. Again, isn't he one of the most outstanding singers in the world of rock? Did you know, though, that when this song came out, and when this first album came out, it wasn't universally acclaimed? In fact, some people had some negative things to say about it, such as Rolling Stone magazine. Let me read you a few quotes from Rolling Stone magazine. About this debut album, they said, "Well, the band offered little that the Jeff Beck group didn't say as well or better 3 months ago. to fill the void created by the demise of Cream, Led Zeppelin will have to find a producer, editor, and some material worthy of their collective talents. Also, Rolling Stone called Jimmy Page a limited producer, and they criticised his writing skills. And they said of Robert Plant that he is as foppish as Rod Stewart, but nowhere near so exciting. I can't believe that. I mean, nowhere near as exciting as Rod Stewart. Surely now, in retrospect, we would say it's the exact opposite way around. Who would not agree with that? Let me know in the comments. Who is more exciting, Robert Plant or is it Rod Stewart? I know where my answer lies. So a bit of bad press there from Rolling Stone. And in fact, Led Zeppelin didn't talk to Rolling Stone throughout their career after that. Bad review there. But there was lots of praise as well. I'd like to read a quote from Andy Green, who wrote this specifically about the song Good Times, Bad Times. He wrote that Jimmy Page's guitar pounces from the speakers, fat with menace. John Bonham's kick drum swings with anvil force. Robert Plant rambles on about the perils of manhood. Hard rock would never be the same. Isn't that great? And people say that rock journalists can't write. I mean, Andy Green, that's some good writing there. What's that great quote? I forget who said it or the exact quote, but something like rock music journalism is, people who can't write, writing reviews for people who can't read. Yeah, anyway, not true at all, is it? Not true at all. Isn't that some great rock music journalism there? And here's another quote I'd like to read. Sheldon Pierce from Consequence of Sound, about the album, I think, as a whole. He wrote that through hard rock and heavy metal with bluesy undertones that often causes the chords to weep poignantly as if struck with malice. Isn't that great as well? Causing the chords to weep poignantly as if struck with malice. Yes. Anyway, a great song. It's short. It's quite a short song. 2 minutes 43, I think. And my only criticism is it fades out at the end. That's always, to me, a bit of a cop-out. Songs, in my book, should have an ending. They could have written an ending, but they just fade out. But there we go, a small criticism. I give this song 86 out of 100. Please let me know what I should discuss next on my next episode, and do subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying the content. Thank you. I really enjoy making these videos. Gives me a chance just to consider what's good or bad about music I love or music I don't love so much. But Good Times, Bad Times, great song. See you next time.